I mean, are you? Are we here?
We are live.
Oh my God, she was letting me act like that on purpose. I was just telling her how I had a lazy eye. She don't care, guys. So, hey.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Jice, and
it's your girl, Shay. Jay, what's up, bro?
What is up? So we are super excited because we're in Detroit.
Yeah!
We always like being out here. And on top of that, we're in our very own spot.
We're in our own event center, and it's amazing. Just to see the progress, I think it's been inspirational.
From about September is when we pretty much did a soft launch. We opened up, had some things going on since then. So we've added a few things and, continue to move. Our other partner is like super dope in this. He's been robust too. He's been holding it down. So he ain't real he's not he ain't on social media.
None of that. We'll do talking for him. He doesn't need to be seen.
He's so
right. But I think it kind of hints to what we're talking about today, like the power of good partnership and what that looks like.
Yeah.
And sometimes good partnership is unspoken theories, unspoken, affirmations and things getting done without you to say, can you take out the trash? And somebody just taking out the trash, knowing that's what you need to be happy.
Matthew's about to see this.
Oh my God, this is not about you at all.
He's gonna be like, oh, so y'all gonna keep the conversation rolling. I'm not even there to defend my position.
Sorry, Matthew, that was not about you.
We've been having all types of conversations about love. Valentine's Day is coming up. Now, y'all know I really don't celebrate holidays that at all. I'm not moved.
Yeah.
But a lot of conversations have been coming up around love and around, relationships. And it's definitely, bless you.
Excuse me again, guys. I'm back.
Bless you.
Thank you.
It's led to some really dope conversations, I think. And so we've just been talking to other women,
and so it's highlighted, it's highlighted the way you feel or the way you didn't even know you felt. So
yeah. And for some folks, it can definitely be a hard time. On our way over here, we were just listening to some of the remarks from Vanessa Bryant, which just had me tear up all over again.
It was surreal all over again. And I think that was the ultimate test of love.
I mean, love for her living daughters, love for the daughter that she can't believe that she lost, love for a 20-year relationship and a man who you have been with since your adolescence and really thought that you were going to be with for the rest of your life. And
that's
her comments just definitely, for me, left my heart a little heavy on that. So, and I think, life does that.
Excuse me, guys, I'm allergic to Jice. Normally, we don't sit this close. Okay, I'm sorry. That's love.
I'm gonna let you have that. I'm gonna let you have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, I'm sneezing and stuff. It's weird.
Okay. So when I was sneezing back at the...
I don't know what that was.
Oh, okay. It was you.
No, we were that close.
Apparently, we're allergic to each other.
Oh, dang. That's love. And I think understanding your love language, that might be love. I don't know what's going on here.
Right. All right. So we know we don't have that long. So we've been out here. And I just want to also remind you guys to subscribe and share. We are on CTN Media. We are changing the narrative. Yes. And we are going to have some additional interviews and stuff roll out. We've been talking to some dope people, some that we've met before, some that are new, and just really digging into some of the culture and the things that are happening here on the ground in Detroit as well. So some of those interviews and things like that are going to come out. We actually have another one lined up for tonight, but it is Thursday. I haven't been on in 2 weeks. Y'all gotta forgive me because I'm so bad. For everything that I talk about with consistency and discipline, it's been really bad. And I don't have any real excuse. I have
no need to have an excuse. Right.
I got reasons, but they're not good excuses. But yeah, it's mainly just been around consistent timing with a really ever evolving schedule as new contracts and new projects continue to be added onto our plate.
Absolutely.
Some of them have been removed, and just trying to sort out consistent timing. Absolutely. So that's been my reason. I won't give you no type of excuses, but that's been my reason. And but it was Thursday, and I wanted to make sure that we got back on.
Absolutely. And I know you guys have seen me a little bit, but learning how to juggle these shows. I do a consistent show on another network, a local, and we talk about politics. So what's being in political season, it means there's a lot of requirements on the interviews I'm doing back and forth. But CTN Media, we have a lot of special things coming for you, and a lot of things have been recorded. You just haven't seen them yet. So I don't think we're just, leaving you hanging, but there's going to be some great content coming to you. And this content, I think it's important sometimes just to have girl conversations. You talk to your girl sometimes, you talk to your people, but sometimes you don't understand how you can help someone else in that conversation. And this conversation is actually sponsored by the census. You matter, your count matters, your number matters. So make sure you go out and do your census, do the census report, tell them where you're at so that we can get the resources allocated to our neighborhoods. And so I think they believe that girlfriend conversation matters as well. So we're gonna do that today.
That's twice.
That is. And it's on your side of the side.
No, that's bullshit. It was the other side. I don't even. Anyway, keep it going. What are we talking about today? We're talking about love. Hello, Alexis. What's up, sis? About love.
Yeah, we're talking about love. The lessons in love. I think when we know when you're not taking lessons away from what are you building. And just talking about some of the things I know that came up earlier in our conversation about lessons in love and like what is most important. And I think the number one thing, and mostly everybody knows this, is communication. But I think sometimes we use that word communication so lightly and so fluffy.
Right.
So we're like, oh, communicate. But there's a difference between communicating and communicating for comprehension.
Right.
And I think that is the level of like a true foundation in a relationship.
Yeah. So I definitely would agree with that because so even right now I was kind of like, so I'm about to just be all up in my whole personal life.
Ooh.
But so I think it's funny because one of the pieces that we were talking about that, and like I said, we've been having hella conversations.
We're like, the camera should have been rolling.
Right.
We've been having all these
all over.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we were talking about, because part of what sparked the idea around that communication. So there's some folks that we follow, and today they have released this podcast where it's a husband and wife talking about their evolution of their relationship. And it's interesting because they were being very intentional about using words. And that's something that I try to be really intentional about as well, is really thinking through what it is exactly that I'm saying.
Absolutely.
But then also still recognizing in that space that because I thought I was careful about saying it doesn't necessarily mean that you received or heard what I said.
Absolutely.
And so I think I feel like everybody's probably had that. I mean, everyone has just had a situation where you said something and the other person, they'd be like, wait, no,
that's what I meant it. I took it the wrong way. But
right.
I think that's a great point. And I think one of the things that we both are agreeing on is sometimes when we're having a conversation and you're not sure you're offended by something, so repeating back to the person what you think you heard clears a lot of things in the air. Because you'll be like, I don't think you should wear this. And like, well, what I heard you say is that I'm ugly when I wear this and I look fat. Like, whoa, comprehending what the other person's throwing at.
Right. And so I know my experience with that recently. So, my little family, we're going to call it.
What is this? Okay. The family.
The little family unit.
So
it's split apart, right? So my kids, my two littles, their father is just, he's not about, he don't want to deal with me, don't want to talk to me. He's on his feelings and I could live with all of that.
Right.
But, so he comes to the door, like literally for the last couple of months, he keeps coming to the door and like this man barely wants to actually come inside to the point where he's sending my oldest daughter like up and down stairs. He said, I told him I don't want him in my space. So he ain't coming in my space. And I'm
like,
that's
not what I meant like this.
It's petty.
And
so, oh no, she said it's my friend. Peace, sis.
No.
I owe you an email. I got you though.
She got you though.
Oh no, it's buffering.
What about now?
I don't know.
No.
Can y'all see us now?
No. I'm like, guys, are we doing good now?
I know, right? I told you to check on your phone. Go and see what it looks like to everyone else.
Oh, I was like, check and see if we're buffering. You got it.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Oh, it's good for now. Okay, cool.
Good.
All right. Well, no, go back on the phone.
Okay, I'm sorry. I like to look at my notes, but that's fine. You see how she's trying to bully me in front of you guys? Please forgive her, not me.
What's up, y'all? Okay, so thank you for letting us know. Let us know if it buffers again, because like I said, we are in our event space, so we don't have, there's a few things we ain't got rolling in here. We got our hotspots on, but yeah, so the short version of this is I never told this man I don't want him in my. It's okay, Shayla. I'll help you.
Did you say my whole name for that?
I did.
Please forgive her. I don't know what's going on right now. This like, we're just having a conversation. This was not a
it is.
conversation.
You have an ad. I got you.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think you're being a little rude.
I'm not.
In front of our guests.
I'm sorry.
Excuse
right.
her again, guys. No, but I think that we're in a good point of a space because there's a lot of things that he heard something one way, and that was not even the intent where you threw it out. Like when you're living here and I'm saying like, I need you out of my space now, totally different than when you come to the house and you got to help with the kids. So don't stand in my doorway. Don't play that game. Like,
don't be petty.
Don't do that.
We're not
doing that. Like, that's not cool.
And even then, you know, it was not even an acknowledgement in terms of the way in which I was saying, you know, that this wasn't a good or a healthy situation, right? So then it made it this very personal thing, which I get relationships are personal, but it wasn't like, oh, get out of my space, I don't want you around. It was just like, you know, there are things that are not happening that allow for me to be able to be as creative as I need to be, and all of those pieces was him. Yeah. And so it was like, this isn't a I hate you, this isn't a fuck you, my nigga. Like, this is I need for us to have this separation in this space to be here so that things that I need can move forward.
Absolutely.
And in that space, it was like, there was a struggle to communicate not only apparently what I meant, and he wanted to, what was the phrase that you used? He wanted to live in that.
Live in that space. And I think that's a big place too, when you have somebody that doesn't recognize that they are already hurt by what you're saying. They're hurt by a thing, so they take it and they use it for what makes the most sense to justify their actions, to justify how they feel. And it was, I'm dating. So I go on lots of dates. I date lots of people. I don't have, an exclusive one right now. I'm on a dating scene. And one of the guys that I'm currently dating with.
I'm dating too.
Yeah, she's dating too. She's open now. She's official. I have all my friends like, you have the best dating stories. I have dating stories on dating stories. But one of the guys that I'm dating recently, that was a conversation we had. We were having some type of conversation. And he said something. And in that moment, I don't remember what it was exactly, but I was automatically irritated, just like, oh, what? And so I repeat back what I hear, and he's like, no, that's actually not what I'm saying. And I'm like, yes, you did. You said. He's like, no, once again, I'm sorry if that's what you heard, but that's not what I'm saying, and that's not what the intent of what I'm even meaning. And then he was like, you know what? If you want to live in that space and you are already set on misunderstanding me, let me know when you're done.
That part.
And that
already being
You're set on misunderstanding me.
Exactly.
And you are content with being in that space right now. You want to be mad for whatever that reason that is. But then when you're ready to comprehend, I'm ready to let you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
And that was as a grown ass woman, that was an immediate check me. It was a check me space where I was like, no, Shay, whatever's going on with you right now, you are content in not comprehending what he's saying and misunderstanding him and turning his words around, because that's what felt better right then. I wanted to be upset for whatever reason. I wanted to feel like, and it's like, he's telling you that's not what he said. So I think we have to, as we're growing in relationships and we're really dealing with people, we have to decide, like, do you really want to comprehend, and what are you comprehending for? And what are you communicating for?
Right.
Are you communicating just to be heard? Or are you communicating for comprehension because you want to actually have an even playing field? Like, what does that really look like? You know? I think it's just a huge thing in communication, just not using the word communication to communicate. Like, that's not it.
So thinking through that and kind of staying on those same lines of like really getting to the heart of understanding each other and seeing how important that is. So this couple that we watch, you never watched her before?
No, this was my first time watching her. I always watched him, and I didn't even know. I knew he was married, but I didn't even know she was bringing that to the table where she's having these fiery conversations. Like, oh,
right. So there's this white guy that I watch.
Right.
And
I don't know why she said this white guy. That was hilarious.
Because I have a very few select white
I don't think I watch any white guys either.
I mean, I have a couple. Like, I watch Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
I watch Grant Cardone. Like, there's some white guys. So kind of like the some of the typical bigger names.
Randomly. Isn't that random? Like, I know I used to really not like him, and something played one day, and it really resonated with me. And because I could hear something that I had never heard, when all that hooping and howling was gone, it was like a real clear message. And I like messages that go with stories, and he tells stories a lot, and I'm a story person.
I know.
So I connected in that moment.
I know nothing about
That's fine. You don't have to. But whoever needed that.
Right. Whoever listens to Joel.
Right.
But in that sense, so I'm mentioning he's a white guy because I don't listen to a lot of white guys. Okay. But this white guy that I watch, so he was having a conversation with his wife. So they've been married for getting close to 20 years.
Right.
They have a pretty dynamic relationship. They built an amazing business and all of that, right? In some 20s, and using the word manipulate. So it was like, I'm not going to change you.
Yes.
But I want to be honest that my goal here in this conversation is to manipulate you into, what it is that I want, right? Yeah, and I thought that's such an interesting.
And I think we both paused when we heard that word manipulate. We looked at each other in a different way. It never was positive. And that for me set a different tone. Like, you can actually define a word between you two, and how does that word really work with you guys? It doesn't have to be wrong,
right? It doesn't have to be wrong. What's up, Dashot? So it doesn't have to be wrong, but and I think in that sense, what really stood out for me was they acknowledged that their vocabulary and where they were trying to get to was right?
Right.
So at that point, it didn't necessarily matter. It was that we come to an agreement on what this means.
Exactly.
And in that sense, one of the things that I had mentioned in my early relationship, so talking about lessons in love, right? And actually in the early part of a few of my relationships, like I tend to be, I feel like I tend to be pretty traditional in terms of a traditional sense of what a woman's role is, right?
Yeah.
I tend to fall in on that space, but I'm also very driven, very ambitious, and I've always been that way.
Right.
And so even in my earlier years, like I was trying to push in the military to move up in rank and you know, get my position up, and you know, I came out of that, went into entrepreneurship, and it's always been this very ambitious push. So in that sense, I struggle at times dealing with men because when I was younger, I really thought that I could see potential in a man, and then I could like change him, right? Like I can help mold. Let me not even say that you learn really early on, because I feel like I know some grown ass women who still
fall in love with a man's but the thing is, you can fall in love with a man's total potential and has nothing to do with the peak he's really going to reach, because potential is sometimes just that potential. And being able to see that, like, I can't change you, but a real relationship when you're growing,
ultimately that's what he was leading to, right? But so many of us do come into the mindset of, okay, I'm gonna change this person,
right?
And I think early on,
right?
I agree with that, and I think early on they had a conversation that acknowledged, I can't change you, but I can shape you. And in that, instead of using the term shape, they use the word manipulate. And
then saying that I won't manipulate you for wrong ever. I will never use that power wrongfully. I think it's a huge thing, you know, because when relationships, you give away your power. So when people know your vulnerability, they know things about you, you can use that and strike somebody and hit somebody. But saying, I'm going to manipulate you, I'm going to manipulate the situation so that you grow and I grow, but I will never do it for the wrong side of things.
Right.
That was huge to me.
And I think that's a deeper level of trust that a lot of relationships don't have, which is why when someone is trying to open up your thought process to something, why oftentimes we're so resistant to that, because we don't trust that what you're doing is in my best interest. I think you're doing knowledge what that looks like.
Absolutely.
And you know, been listening to quite a few things around, you know, relationships, and wanting to hear from some other couples. I think why we're talking about this one is this just happens to be the last conversation that we were listening to, as we have been having some of these other conversations in and around the topic of those relationships. But I think that is interesting for them, again, to think about that idea of shaping someone.
Yes.
And absolutely. One of the things that he said to his wife, and I don't know if she recognized how significant that was, but one of the things that he said to his wife was that I'm who I am because of you, right?
Absolutely.
And it was like, I don't even want to imagine another version of myself without you, because you shaped so much of who I am. Like, we knew that the two options was either we grow apart or we grow together.
That's it. That's in every relationship. You grow apart or you grow together. You don't have any other option.
So when you're growing together with someone, the person who you become is so deeply intertwined with that person. And then in that sense, as they're constantly pushing you to grow and you're pushing them to grow, the end result becomes a manipulation, and a shaping of who you are through these, experiences that are very much intertwined. I just
important in a relationship. And I always tell people that. I remember mom telling me a long time ago, when you really look at when I had gotten engaged, and I'm not anymore, but when I had gotten engaged, she was like, make sure that he's your friend first, because there's things you would never do to your friend that you might do to somebody that you're just sleeping with, or somebody that you got this little thing going on. But your friend, there's ways you just don't want to hurt your friend. There's the things that you don't do. There's things that you really want to comprehend with your friend. There's ways you want to walk with your friend and hold your friend accountable, but be that same type of sturdiness for them. And I think that's why when you're rooted in friendship, you mirror things for each other. You find this love that you reciprocate back and forth, because it's like, this is my friend and I want to see you win and I want to see you be okay. You don't hurt your friends like that. We did our love language test. So if you haven't done your love language test, go do it. I think the 5 love languages, if you haven't read the book, it's a great book. But if not, you can just go to the 5 love languages on there and do your love language test. But even though somebody's like, oh, whatever, but I think it's super important, because when you understand your love language and you understand the love language that somebody else needs and feels like this is the way they really see love. And I think it's so important, because so many times, and I remember this in a past relationship where I thought I was doing all the things that show what love was. Like, I was showing up at all his games. I was present for all the things that I felt like was important. I'm at all your galas. I'm coming to this and I'm coming to that. Well, he didn't value that like I did. He valued a certain sense of like, well, I want the house to look like this. I want little small gifts. I want things like that that weren't necessarily what I deemed important. I thought showing up and being there, like that was me coming out of my way. He's like, man, you could just have me a cool little pair of socks and this. I'm like, wait, what? So when you know someone's love language and you know your love language, you're able to communicate effectively, and then you're not offended when you feel like you're giving something and they're like, that's your love language. That's what's important to you. They're important to me. Like, oh.
So often when we talk about values, but I feel like the base of it all is the love language. It's like, how do you receive love? How do I receive love? And then recognizing what that looks like for each other.
Yes.
And the thing that I've come to understand the most is not necessarily, like, it's understanding the full spectrum. Like, it's not just what is your love language, what is the number one thing?
Yeah.
It's what's the lowest thing? What's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What is the bottom of the barrel for you? You really don't care that much about this. Or, you know, for some people who maybe have more of an even kill around their love languages, it's kind of like, maybe that one is a little bit more well-rounded, right? But I feel like for a lot of us, we can like legitimately rank our love languages. Like, this is most important to me. For me, mine is quality time, right? So, you know, if I rocks with you, like we rolling everywhere.
But no, it's real, because you know that quality time is your thing now. And I think recognizing when you're growing and things change for you. I remember when quality time was the first thing.
I'm about to now turn the other way.
You're starting to grow and you can say, oh, that's not my love language anymore. This is what I don't deem important. And I didn't realize that my love language changed until I redid my quiz today.
Right.
And I was like, quality time used to be probably my 1, 2, 3. It was at the bottom of my list today. And then acts of service was at the top of my list. And I think that has a lot to do with where my lifestyle is at right now. I need somebody that's going to help take a load off of me. That's what's going to make me feel good. I need someone that's like, I'm busy just as much as you're busy, but let me run an extra errand for you. Let me run your car through the car wash for you. Let me take out the trash for you. Let me stand in this gap for you. And that's a love language for me right now that is so prevalent, because that's going to take the stress off of me. That's going to let me breathe a little bit more. And I think it's very, vindictive of where my life is right now, but recognizing, so somebody that's buying me all the gifts doesn't necessarily do it for me right now. That's not it. Somebody that's like sitting in my face, actually, bro, I probably need you to go run and do A, B, C, or D so I can get a little bit further today. And like recognizing when those things change and being able to say, this is where I'm at right now, and this is what would make me happy, and communicating that to your partner is huge.
I do believe that. And I believe that that's super huge. And I guess my piece to that is when you acknowledge where your love language is, right, and what's super important to you, there's also a place of acknowledging what's not important to you.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was getting at with what's at the bottom of that. Because for me, words of affirmation, my lowest love language. I can just tell you right now.
Too. You need to tell me you're proud of me, please. I need to hear it.
Because I see how you just pushed me to go and tell Rob. Like,
I see that. Yeah, I'm like, tell him. You telling on ourselves. But no, I'm telling him that. I'm like, yo, you need to go say these words to make somebody feel better. And like, you're like, I don't need to hear these words. And for me, like, I need to hear like, baby, I'm proud of you. You doing your thing. I need to hear that now.
First, I get uncomfortable around too much. Like, anytime someone's like, oh my God, responded back to be like, thank you.
Right,
I haven't said nothing back. That's where, words of affirmation is my lowest one, right? So for me,
and that's for me, void to anything that I bring to the table. Right. And that's where that really stuck in a place of like, and I need to hear it from you. I need to hear that this,
Right. So before we run out of battery here and have to
that part, I know.
Let me make this point real quick. My lowest love language is affirmation, words of affirmation. Yeah. If your highest love language is words of affirmation, we cannot be in a relationship, because I will never fill your cup the way you need me to fill your cup.
But just because you don't require that doesn't mean you can't give that.
It doesn't, but it's a heavy lift.
That's
it's a heavy lift. It's a heavy lift for me to it's a heavy lift for me to constantly be thinking about something that I literally never spend any time thinking about.
I didn't think
so. I never think about necessarily affirming people in that sense. Like the best you're gonna get from me, I say so. I tell like, oh, you're dope. Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, that's
dope.
That's
right. Like that's it. Right.
That's a dry good job. Like boo.
I be meaning that from the depths.
You probably do, but it's like so dry. I need a little more.
I be liking it to like, if I tell you you're dope, like
take it and run with it, guys. Love it.
All of me. But in that sense, if my man really needed that, like if that was something that he needed on a regular basis to kind of hear, or that was something that he needed to fill his cup, it's not to say that I couldn't get there, but I feel like I would struggle in consistency. Absolutely. And I feel